What is happening, y'all? We are back at it again with another video. So in this video, I wanted to talk about this one reel that I sent myself.
The idea that I started thinking every day, I was like, I hope I don't wake up. You know what I mean? And that was that was the thing where I was like, this is a big enough problem that if you don't want to wake up, then what have you got to lose?
This is a big enough problem with what you have to lose, what you have got to lose, and if you don't want to wake up. At the end of the day, you have to make that commitment to yourself, because if not, who else are you going to make that commitment to besides your significant other or your family? Which at the same time, what do you have to lose is probably one of the best sayings that Chris could have stated, is that if you have nothing left to lose, then what is the point in trying to put yourself through that hell, put yourself through that rock bottomness, put yourself through that certificate of pain? Pain is the fuel here. Without pain, there is no agony. Without agony, there is no hatred. And without hatred, there is no pain to be led about. And through this pain, we must know that without pain, there is no struggle. Without pain, there is no hardship. Without pain, there is no serenity of peace, of serenity of mental checklists. Without the pain of tomorrow, there is no pain of today. And I like that quote because without sacrificing today for what you want versus tomorrow for what you could get, is the deeper price of what are you willing to sacrifice for today? What are you willing to state for today? What are you willing to understand for today? And through all this pain and hardship, you become more sharpened to wield the sword of your doing, of your bidding, of your choosing. Because if you're not choosing this life, somebody else is choosing it for you. And through this mental perspectives of changing the algorithm, to changing yourself, to changing your personality, it can be hard. It can be difficult because I've seen that firsthand with my relationships, with my connections, with my conversations that I have with people, because I'm afraid of the void. I'm afraid of where this connection could lead. I'm afraid of what this thing can grasp. And through this, do we all understand each other? Through this pain, there is no progress. And at the end of progress, there is no lesson. And at the end of the lesson, there is no future. If there's no dream, if there's no future, if there's no unwilling, godly like structure to be structuralized by yourself or by other people, then why are you wasting your time and energy basing it around them? Why? That's my only question. Is that if you have nothing left to lose, you have nothing left to lose. Which means you have nothing left to gain, which means you have everything to gain. And within everything, there is nothing. So just ask yourself that question. If you have something left to lose, you have something to gain. Just ask yourself that question. Whenever you have those late night thoughts, to have those representations of mind, just ask yourself that question of what you have to lose and what you have to gain for. Because if you have nothing left to lose, then you have, seriously, nothing left to lose. And that's only the first 6 seconds of the video.
I hope I don't wake up. You know what I mean? And that was the
Hold on, I just need to get my thoughts into order.
was the that was that was the thing where I was like, this is a big enough problem that like if you don't want to wake up, then
What have you got to lose?
exactly. And that was it. And I was like, I have nothing to lose. And that was when I think in the last podcast we talked about this, where it's
When you have nothing left to lose, you have nothing left to gain. If you have nothing left to gain, you have nothing left to truly waste for. If all that we're wasting is time and energy within this space of the abyss of the unknown, then what are we waiting for? What are we trying to achieve? What are we trying to say? What are we trying to tell? What are we trying to sell? Except every single thing, we have to sell something to somebody. A certain value of time, energy, or persistence. That's the 3 things that I hope that you guys learn from this video.
when I think in the last podcast we talked about this, where it's like, if everybody who's like at the bottom and feels like they have nothing going for them, reframe that as I have nothing going for me, which also means that I have nothing to lose by taking action.
If you have nothing going for you, then that means that you have nothing left to lose by taking the action of the energy that has been already wasted on other conversations, to other certificates, to other things that are wasting your time and energy. I would rather not make content that is pointless to the point. I would rather make content to my own opinion of my point. Because if I don't explain everything that is within my own mind, then I'll feel like a piece of me is missing within this piece of puzzle. And through this puzzle piece, we have to take action, because if we do not take action, there is undeniable pieces of proof that has been waiting to be stated, waiting to be understood, waiting to be thought out, because we haven't thought that deep in maybe years to decades. We haven't thought that more in depth, that more insanity, that more belief pattern. And through this belief pattern, we must know that if we're taking action, we take action and we dive. We don't just dip our feet in and just go swimming. We dive into the water, we swim, we go with the current. Because if the current doesn't take, the sharks will eat. That's the moral of the story that I hope you guys learned from this video. So leave a like and save if you want to come back to this video. If you stay for this long, go check out my school. I'm keeping it completely free for the next 2 months, which now it's the next month and probably 20 days. So come back to this video if you want to know more, and hopefully you guys learned something, because I would say I learned something from this video, which means I have nothing left to lose, which means I have nothing left to gain. Well, if you have nothing to lose, then you have everything to gain. And if you have everything to gain, you have nothing to truly lose. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Leave a like and comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.